That is the type of football that I want to see.
DBAP, don't be a that's for two SEC coaches right out of the gate.
Week 1 can be a big mystery box. It hasn't been much of a mystery box for Brian Kelly. That's not the expectation right now at Auburn, Hutton. It's much lower than that. It's get to a bowl game. A loss in Week 1 starts that spiral downward, possibly, that could lead to their eventual demise. Hutton, it is a big weekend. It's a big weekend for a lot of reasons. It's Labor Day weekend. Hope everybody has that Labor Day rest coming up on Monday. But it is the start of football. And I'm not talking preseason football or any of that. Football begins this weekend. And I'm also not talking about a game that caused a fight between a father and son in Dublin, Ireland. That was great. We got a little appetizer this past weekend, and it sparked fisticuffs between family members. That is the type of football that I want to see. That is the type of football we will get this weekend, starting Thursday night with a full slate of games. If you love Withrow's college football top 10 games of the week, well, damn it, I've got good news for you. It's back tomorrow, baby, just like we're back on our own brand new YouTube channel that you can subscribe to, the lower third that Tyler's going to put up here very soon. Here's the deal about this weekend. There, look at that. Amazing. Scan it right there. You can go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. 2 coaches, 2 SEC programs at a crossroads this weekend. Week 1 is huge for everyone. Week 1 is also a mystery for everyone. We think one thing about a team, we find out something completely different very quickly. Teams think they know what to prepare for, and they don't, based on an offensive change, based on a defensive change, whatever it may be. Week 1 can be a big mystery box. It hasn't been much of a mystery box for Brian Kelly. What he does in Week 1 at LSU is he loses. And they've got a streak that you don't want to have in Week 1 games for their college football season. They've been losing a lot lately. Brian Kelly at LSU and Hugh Freeze at Auburn. 2 coaches where I'm not saying that they're going to get canned because they lost in Week 1, but I am saying that a loss in Week 1 starts that spiral downward, possibly, that could lead to their eventual demise. Now, not in the same group here completely. Brian Kelly, safer, based on what he's done at LSU, as opposed to Hugh Freeze.
And his buyout, right?
So let's start with Pastor Hugh, Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze, Hutton,
please turn in
through 3 years. When you look at his career, he did well at Liberty, but I'm not going to count Liberty in this because that's not big boy football. Hugh Freeze has coached big boy football before in the Southeastern Conference. At Ole Miss, starting back in 2012, year 1, 7-6. Year 2, 8-5. Year 3, 9-4 for Hugh Freeze coaching the Rebels. 24-15 after 3 years. Now, if I were to tell you, hey, Auburn is a better football program than Ole Miss, I think pretty much everyone would agree. That may not be the case right now, this moment, but historically, most coaches would rather coach at Auburn as opposed to Ole Miss. They've had way more success in the SEC. So if I gave you that number of 24-15 through 3 years at Ole Miss, you'd say, well, the same coach that accomplished that certainly would have a better record at Auburn, right? Wrong. Through 2 years at Auburn, 6-7, 5-7. He is 11-14, which means he would need to go 13-1 and lose in the playoff this year to match his 3-season total at Ole Miss. That's no bueno. I know he took over for a situation from Brian Harsin that wasn't great at Auburn, but he's got to be better, and he's got to be better starting in Week 1 at Baylor, where the Tigers are a 2.5-point favorite. Now let's go over to Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly at Cincinnati, first 3 seasons, 10-3, 11-3, 12-0. He was 33-6.
Fantastic.
At Cincinnati. What does that get you? Get you the Notre Dame job. Notre Dame, he went 8-5, 8-5. Huge breakthrough in year 3 to go 12-1. That was the year they lost to Alabama with Manti Te'o in the national championship game. Now in year 4, he went 9-4, so there was a step back from national championship game in 12-1 to 9-4 in year 4. At LSU for Brian Kelly with his fake Southern accent and all, 10-4, 10-3, 9-4. That's not bad. When I just read those numbers to you, he's 29-11 at LSU in the SEC overall. Not bad at all for the first 3 years. It's LSU though. And the understanding was when Brian Kelly left, and not just because of what the outside world said and why he brought his family down to Baton Rouge, but not just because the outside world. He said it, that you go to LSU to win national championships, plural.
There's a shot at Notre Dame.
Ed Orgeron did it, Hutton. Les Miles did it at LSU. Certainly Brian Kelly, who went 33-6 at Cincinnati and then went 28-11 after 3 years at Notre Dame, would have LSU in a spot to win a national title by year 4. LSU has the talent to do that. They have the talent of a playoff team. They're 29-11 through 3 years. So they get Clemson this weekend, and the Tigers, they're going to Death Valley, the Battle of Death Valleys, down in Clemson, 7:30 Eastern on ABC on Saturday night. Clemson's a 3.5-point favorite. So do I look at this game and I say, well, Brian Kelly has to win in order to save his job? No. But you win this game, and you are off to a dynamite start with a win on the road at Clemson of securing a playoff down the road and having a chance to compete for national championships, which is why Brian Kelly brought his family down to Baton Rouge, was to win a natty.
Yeah.
That's not the expectation right now at Auburn, Hutton. It's much lower than that. It's get to a bowl game. It's get to 7-5. And I think for Auburn to do that in Hugh Freeze, they need to win this first game against Baylor.
So here's Auburn. So of the two, let's just ask this question because I've got mine and I'm pretty definitive on this. Which of the two programs do you think can exceed expectations for 2025? For me, it's Auburn. Which coach? Let's go with which coach. It's Auburn because I think the vast majority of Auburn's problems. Everyone's talked quarterback, and we can go quarterback. We can talk with this all. It is the devil's in the details here. They hit only 54% of their field goals last year. 54%. That's how awful they were in the kicking game. They lost 5 turnovers in a 7-point loss to Cal. They lost 5 turnovers, and they lost by 10 to Arkansas. 10 total turnovers equaled losses to Cal and Arkansas. They blew an 11-point fourth-quarter lead to Oklahoma. They were up 11 in the final quarter and lost to Oklahoma. And they blew an 11-point fourth-quarter lead to Missouri. Those are 4 games right there that flip you from 5-7 that can get you to 8-4. Now, I'm not trying to defend Hugh Freeze here, but I like the momentum that they have. The momentum being, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad. They have a top 5 wide receiver room right now in the country. Top 5. Pure talent. They not only won the state of Alabama, they dominated the state of Alabama in recruiting this past cycle because Kayla DeBoer is focused on the West Coast. So they took the top 15 prospects out of the state. They all went to Auburn. Think about that. And this is a 5-7 football team. I think they can surprise some people. I'm more bullish on Auburn going on and taking on and winning against Baylor than I am Clemson somehow stubbing their toe against LSU because Clemson is a bear, man. They're going to be really good.
They're going to be great in the ACC, for sure.
Auburn plays an aggressive style of defense. They're going to play a lot of man. Baylor, their offense last year didn't do great against aggressive defense. I like Auburn a lot more than I'd like LSU in week 1. Just coaching aside, just the setup. Surely to God, you can hit more than 54% of your field goal attempts in 2025. 54%.
Step 1. Let's do that. Let's get above that 54% number. Step number 1 for sure.
Let's hit some kicks and let's not give up double-digit leads in the fourth quarter twice to Oklahoma and Missouri. Do that, and we're not talking about Hugh Freeze in this manner.
So I'd lay all that out for the stakes for this weekend, which I think, look, everybody's under pressure every week, all of that. But for those two guys, like Josh Heupel's a good example. It would not be good at all for Tennessee to lose a 2-touchdown favorite in the first game against Syracuse. But it's not like Josh Heupel's going to be under a lot of stress or pressure for his job if that happens. If Hugh Freeze loses to Baylor, they're going to win the next 2 games against Ball State and South Alabama, you would think. But then it's at Oklahoma and at A&M the next 2 weeks. Interestingly enough, Hutton, both LSU and Auburn have the same first bye week on October 4th. Okay, so the run-up to that bye week after this first game. If Auburn wins at Baylor, by the way, I think they're going to win and win pretty easily at Baylor. I'm with you, Hutton. I think this Auburn team is better. I think the cloud of the uncertainty around Hugh Freeze is shaping what we think about their roster. But if they beat Baylor, they're going to be 3-0. And if they could split at Oklahoma or at A&M, which is going to be a tall task, but even if they don't, 3-2, and after that you got a home game with Missouri and Kentucky. You go to Vandy, you go to Arkansas. You've got Mercer mixed in there. You got a chance at a good season based on expectations. You got to look at 7-8 wins possibly if you're Auburn.
Here's the other thing about Freeze, and then I want to get to LSU. What's the leash like on Jackson Arnold? Because I asked Josh Pate this question. If they are slow out of the gate at quarterback, how soon will he turn to Deuce Knight? And Josh was like, well, I mean, if he does that, then, you know, it's already written. And I don't know. I think this could be a quick trigger to make sure you get it right on the quarterback. Because have they named the starter? I don't know. I mean, look, here's Nathan King. Could Auburn play all three quarterbacks? Yes, yeah, is the response by Hugh Freeze. Hell, he's letting anybody that wants to call a play call a play.
Say, which offensive coach will call the plays for each of the quarterbacks? Since he has a first down call, a second down call, a third down call.
After everything I've said, that does worry me. That sounds like a dipshit.
Yeah.
In this case, most quarterback battles were solved about 2.5 weeks ago. Coaches went ahead and named their starter to get into game rhythm and game week mode. And when you've got Freeze saying that you're going to have different guys calling different plays, and you've got he's stirring up his own mess there for a team that's not that bad. And his buyout's not that bad either, right?
Yeah.
So with all that in mind, he's the one that could really find a week one loss as a detriment, not immediate firing. We're not saying that. I know what you're getting to as well. But it's Kelly at LSU that has the championship discussion.
Yeah, the goals for him right now are so much higher. Huge. And with that fan base that, hey, it's make the playoff.
Right.
With Auburn, it's just make a bowl game for their fans. And not that they're going to be happy with that at the end of year 3 when you look at his record overall, 6-7, 5-7.
Have a winning season.
And then let's say it's 7-6 this year. I don't think any Auburn fan's going to be doing backflips and saying, we got our guy. We found our coach. It's going to lead us back past Alabama and LSU in this conference. I don't think anybody's going to be saying that. But at least it gives them a one-season reprieve to continue spending big money in NIL and bringing in good recruiting classes, which they're not doing right now for next year because it's very much wait and see on Hugh Freeze. That's the other thing about this, Hutton. Their recruiting class is terrible right now for next year. And if they lose that first game to Baylor, it's not going to get any better.
No.
Because then everyone's going to be saying, well, he's going to get fired. For LSU, if they were to win at Clemson, they get La Tech at home, they get Florida at home in a big matchup, then they get Southeastern Louisiana, and they go to Ole Miss before that first bye on October 4th. So some opportunities ahead also if you can bag that win on the road against a really talented Clemson team.
Man, going back to Jackson Arnold and Auburn, Arnold averaged 5.8 yards per attempt with the Sooners. That's not going to win you many games in the SEC. Just not.
It will not.
Just ask Oklahoma.
They're hoping, Hutton, that it's like the Spencer Rattler effect, right? Spencer Rattler was a big-time recruit who was a bust at Oklahoma, who went to the SEC, found refuge with Shane Beamer in South Carolina.
That's a good comparison.
He lit it up for a couple years, or at least 1 year, and was way better. Jackson Arnold, 5-star quarterback recruit, goes to Oklahoma, is a bust. He was skipping rocks in that big night game against Tennessee a year ago, gets pulled in that game, never found it again, and now maybe he gets a second breath.
And Nussmeier, flip it, Nussmeier's supposed to be this NFL-ready quarterback. You know, like he's a top 3 quarterback right now for next year's NFL draft.
Yeah.
Garrett Nussmeier. You think both win? I think Auburn wins. I think Clemson beats LSU.
I think Clemson beats LSU. I think the streak lives
with
LSU in their opening game. Hutton, I think I'll take it a step further. The spread's only 2.5, so I would say double the spread.
Yeah.
But that's not enough. I mean, quadruple the spread.
Okay.
I I think Auburn's going to win by multiple scores.
So take more. Take more.
More.
Our
prize picks pick would be more on this one. More.
Oh, man, stay tuned. Travis Kelce's taking more.
Wedding bells, baby.
Yeah, plus primary complaint next. This episode of Hot Mic brought to you by Prize Picks. Preseason football, it's done with. It's gone. Regular season is here.
Finally.
College football is here. Don't miss any of the action this season on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. You can win up to 2,000 times your money. 2,000 times your money, Chad. Prize Picks, the best way to win real money this football season. You make your picks. You can do that in less than 60 seconds. You could turn your sports opinions into real money on Prize Picks. We're going to do that this weekend.
Yes, we are. Hutton, more or less? That's the big question at Prize Picks. The answer to that question for us is typically more. Like season-long projections, like for Joe Burrow, you can go more or less, 4,174 passing yards. I'm thinking more on that one, but it's up to you. That's the brilliant part, Hutton, of Prize Picks. The pick is yours, and it's fun to play.
Download the Prize Picks app today. When you do, use the code HOTMIC, H-O-T-M-I-C. Hot Mic to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Hot Mic. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. HOTMIC, your code on the Prize Picks app. Prize Picks, run your game. Shout out to the great crew at Prize Picks, too. Hope to see you across the football season like we did this preseason.
Yes.
This fall, you're not just watching
And a guest of VIP treatment.
This is your shot
to punch your ticket to the college football weekend of a lifetime.
Flights covered.
Hotel covered.
Game tickets, of course.
We're also hooking up 10 more fans with OutKick hats.
And everyone who enters gets a discount to the OutKick shop.
No purchase necessary.
Just hit outkick.com/sweepstakes.
College football weekend of a lifetime. Outkick.com/sweepstakes.
National championship winning head coach Tommy Tuberville.
Congratulations.
Auburn 2004. It is official, the acceptance of the national championship at Auburn. There it is, the claiming it, Coach, from 1910 to 2004. Would you like to give your championship winning speech here in the press conference?
Well, thank you. 21 years late. I was on 3 national championship teams at Miami. And that was as good a football team as I've ever been around. I think we had 5 first-round draft picks.
Yes.
I actually bought all the players and all the coaches that year a national championship ring because we couldn't done anything else. We went undefeated, and unfortunately, we got left out of the 2-team playoff with USC.
Show us that ring again, if you don't mind.
I want to see that again.
All right. There it is.
Yeah, that's already.
Yeah.
It's already been
awesome.
claimed, the title. Yeah, what took so long? Why 21 years later?
Well, I complained at the time because obviously Oklahoma got beat very badly in the Orange Bowl against USC, and then USC they caught a couple of players with a hand in a cookie jar, and they took the national championship away from them. And then the NCAA, in their infinite wisdom, says, we're not going to give anybody the national championship. Why in the hell not? I mean, you've got somebody that went undefeated. We beat 4 top 10 teams during the year. We had a great football team. And, it's what college football used to be about, is about kids staying 4th and 5th years. Carnell Williams, Ronnie Brown, Jason Campbell, they all played 5 years, and they stayed at one university. How about that for an oxymoron nowadays? But at the end of the day, thank goodness they recognize it's all for the players and the coaches and the fans that supported us, but it was a great football team, and 21 years later is better than nothing.
What did you make of the NCAA penalties for Michigan that came out the end of last week? And the 10-year show cause, Chad and I have discussed, a 10-year show cause for a coach who doesn't seem to want to coach in college football anymore doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
It's not. A typical NCAA, late to the party, late with everything, not enough. Just encourages people to cheat. In the end, that banner's going to hang. Jim Harbaugh's not coming back to college football, so who cares? So that's a nothing penalty. Anyway, it's just, it's cheating at the highest level, and it's wrong.
Let's go back to what we were talking about, please, because we don't need teams like this in our college football playoff, it takes away what was so great about expanding where they did. You know, the 12 team, we start arguing over the back end of the playoff last year was great discussion. This is like a watered down week 0 stuff to me.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't get sexually aroused by Syracuse versus Arizona State in a 21-12 matchup?
Rock hard.
Or, an SEC Missouri-Ole Miss matchup.
6th and Peabody, our location, Yeehaw Bureau, Smoky Moonshine, Hot Mic, Hutton and Withrow. OutKick.com is where you can stream the show live. Also, the YouTube channel. Subscribe to our new YouTube channel, Hot Mic. You just scan the QR code there on the screen, bottom right portion of your screen. Real simple. We hope you'll subscribe and then share the information that we are located in this new spot on YouTube. Chad, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged. How about it? Here, just the story that never ends.
And as someone, who still believes in true love,
yeah.
I was rooting for these crazy kids the whole time. I just knew that it was true. And I could see it just through the piercing look of her eyes through that box, through the suite during the games.
Yeah.
Watching her man perform like a gladiator on the field.
It just touched you, huh?
I knew they were going to get married, and this just confirms all of my thoughts about the relationship throughout. Okay. And now they're engaged.
You think that? Yeah.
I felt nothing when I saw this. By the way,
me too.
Like I saw it, and all I felt
we were
was
soulless, though.
Now this is the story of the day. Like if you've seen something before and it's like, this is going to be a big story and this is interesting. My response to this was, it's not interesting at all, but I acknowledge that it's going to be a big story, but I don't care. It moved the needle not one bit in my life when this happened.
I did read like last week, by the way, what do you think about the shoes with no socks there? He clearly didn't dress himself.
No, that's a Taylor special.
Yeah.
This looks like something.
You said that, Travis.
This looks like something one of her like European DJ boyfriends she'd make wear, and not Travis Kelce, not NFL tight end Travis Kelce.
Yeah. This is his final season. We can go ahead and announce this is actually that announcement.
It is pretty incredible when you think
this is the announcement for the final season.
Think of the progression of dudes that she's dated.
Yeah.
Like it was just these waifish, Euro. Yeah. Emo dudes, singers, songwriters, DJs, actors, and then she finds like just a thoroughbred, middle of America, 6'4", 250-pound beast of a man,
guy who was sagging down to his ass crack.
And she's like, you know what? This is it. This is what I want to marry now. Like all this talk about, being emotionally available and yada yada. She's marrying Travis Kelce. So there you go, women of America.
Look how Travis Kelce's
this is what you want.
Ex-girlfriend dressed him compared to this. That's all I'll say. All right. That's who she found initially, was that guy.
Right. He went from looking like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch to who was the guy she was dating for? Not Max Martin. It was some God. I'm trying to think of the DJ.
I don't know.
Techno guy.
You're asking the wrong guy here.
And now I got to search Taylor Swift boyfriends.
Exes. Now,
who? Yes, thank you, Calvin Harris.
I was going to say, if you
Molly coming through in the clutch. Look at that.
If you want the DiCaprio 25-year-olds, we can start naming those off.
She mutes my mic yesterday, and today she's giving us the best bit of info that we could possibly get on this show. Calvin Harris is exactly what I was thinking about.
Primary complaint is next.
This fall, you're not just watching the biggest game in college football.
You're at the game.
Bama versus Georgia.
September 27, Athens.
OutKick's giving one lucky fan and a guest a VIP treatment.
This is your shot
to punch your ticket to the college football weekend of a lifetime.
Flights covered.
Hotel covered.
Game tickets, of course.
We're also hooking up 10 more fans with OutKick hats.
And everyone who enters gets a discount to the OutKick shop.
No purchase necessary.
Just hit OutKick.com/sweepstakes.
College football weekend of a lifetime. OutKick.com/sweepstakes.
Does anybody, is he going to have to stroke a check? Has anything like that happen as far as messing up anybody's houses in here?
He didn't. I did not hear any glass break. I did hear him say, please don't watch my shot. Don't look at that shot. But, he did well.
Landon, what did you think of the overall experience?
With all these LIV professionals and LIV golfers out here, their games didn't seem to impress me when I was caddying for Dan. I mean, he's easily the best golfer here at Chapman Hills. I mean, he's a great guy.
We're here with Dan's golf coach, Lee.
Yes.
How was today?
Up and down. I'm going to say up and down. I think first 9, Dan played really well. He did. And then got a little shaky towards the end there. Putting was way off. He's usually a better putter. Putting was way off. But you know what? Great day. A lot of good people. Had fun. And I have to say, as soon as I didn't have to be his caddy anymore, he may have started playing better.
I will say, the LIV experience, it seemed like every 3 or 4 holes there was a bar set up. Do you think once we kind of got to the bars, that played a pretty big impact as far as Dan's game?
It may have. I'm not gonna confirm that one way or the other.
We're here with the man of the hour, Dan Dockett. You just finished 18 holes. Dan, how are you feeling?
I feel great. I tell you what, it makes you feel like a big guy. You're inside the ropes. You're playing like a set-up championship course. I hit the ball good, couldn't putt, but what a great time. My wife was there. Landon was there. Great pros. I mean, what a great day. Thanks to everybody at OutKick for letting me do it, get me in this thing. Yeah, I don't know. The overestimation of I got tired. I'm not going to lie, Davey. I don't know, the bars and all that. I did take a shot. Actually, I took 2 shots because my back started hurting. Here's what happens when you get old. I told my wife, I go, man, I'm getting stiff as I walk. Like, I don't know. And I think when I went in the hot box, there was a bathroom that was in the sun, and I went in it, and I came out, and I was drenched with sweat. I'm like, oh, don't go in there, fellas. But thanks for coming out. That was a great day, and I got to lose my stomach. The stomach, it's got to go. Stomach has got to go. Too much stomach.
Nah, Dan, we had a great time. Yeah. It was a lot of fun, and, following around – you had some great interviews. We're going to have some more content coming out later. I know we got an interview we're about to play, but it was a good time. Yeah, it's the way in which Lee answered that question I thought was great because I had to go away for a bit, so I didn't know if things got off the rails while Ryan and I were away while y'all were, I guess, playing. I think it was around holes 1 through 5.
Started out really well in the back, and I did shank 2. Like, I shanked 1 on the front, and and then on 8, I shanked 1 off the tee. But the beauty is we were playing a shambles, so you got to, play the best drive. But I think I needed to start drinking before the round. I think that was more important. I think, oh, man, I was telling Lee, I go, damn. And you should have seen, by the time we were done,
6th and Peabody, our location, Yeehaw Bureau, Smoky Moonshine, Hot Mic, Hutton and Withrow here at OutKick.com. It is Wednesday. It is time to air our grievance of the week with primary complaint.
It's time to air our top grievance of the week.
You can complain all you want.
My job is so unfulfilling. Don't run away from your feelings.
It's time for Hot Mic's primary complaint.
Guys, my primary complaint this week is meeting for the sake of meeting instead of meeting for the sake of doing. It's just meet to meet again. Let's meet for the sake of doing something together. That's my primary complaint.
Hutton, my primary complaint this week, just went on a little tour of New England. I went to Mystic, Connecticut. Went to Newport, Rhode Island. I did not have any chowder, believe it or not, but had a lot of seafood. Biggest regret, no chowder. I did have lobster Benedict, though, in Mystic, Connecticut. It was wonderful. The lady who was my server in Mystic, Connecticut, it all ties in together.
What are you saying?
Mystic, Connecticut.
You get a palm reading while you're there?
Mystic, Connecticut. I watched the movie Mystic Pizza on the flight just to get ready for Mystic, Connecticut.
Go ahead, read your palm, please, Chad.
It was a 1988 classic. What can I say? Julia Roberts starred, and she was stunning in this role in this film. So really enjoyed my trip to both Mystic. I should slow down when I say that. Mystic, Connecticut, where I got my fortune read, and Newport, Rhode Island. One thing that I love about visiting the Northeast is when I go to the Northeast, this is a big misconception for a lot of people. People who work in the service industry up north are 1,000,000 times better than people in Nashville, Tennessee that work in the service industry. People think Southern hospitality, they think this and that. I am here to tell you,
ludicrous,
every time I've gone to Boston, I've gone to New York City, in Newport, Rhode Island, in Providence, Rhode Island, every server or bartender I've had even though they talk a little bit faster, they talk with a different accent, whatever, far better at their job than anyone else. Let me give you one example.
Okay.
I'm getting my lobster Benedict in Mystic, Connecticut, and the nice lady who's our server, she takes like 90 seconds to get to us to give us water for breakfast, and she says, I'm sorry for your wait that I took so long to get here. And I'm thinking, ma'am, if this were Nashville and you got here this quickly, I would hand you a $100 bill right now just for being that good at your job. Instead, she said, I'm sorry. A different example happened right next door at the Starbucks that sucks worse than everything that's bad about life here next to our studio in Nashville that I continue to go to. Why? Because it's a mere steps away from this studio.
It's a hole to hell.
Convenience. It's the only reason. I go in there the other day, Hutton. I've got 20 minutes before showtime. We've talked about the show. We're ready to go.
Yep.
I can walk 30 seconds away and in 20 minutes get back with my straight coffee order. I ordered a red eye, which is black coffee with a shot of espresso. That is supposed to be made by the person taking the order. They turn around, they do it, they hand it to you. I knew something was amiss when the lady did not do that. Did not immediately give it to me. I wait. Multiple people get their order. Finally, I have to go to them and say, hey, I got a red eye. And she just goes, oh, turns around, pours it, hands it to me silently, staring me straight in the face, not saying a damn word. It's okay to say I'm sorry.
Telling you to go to hell.
It's okay to say, oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry. Here's your coffee. I would have said, all right, give me that tip back, but no problem at all. Thank you for saying I'm sorry. Instead, she said nothing. It's okay to say, I'm sorry. This is my primary complaint.
That's right.
I feel like that Starbucks works its way into primary complaint at least once a month.
I mean,
like in a different form or fashion every time.
It's the chode of Chad's existence.
Well, like a stand-up comic in New York City would just go to Central Park and watch people and jot down notes for a stand-up act. I could just walk to Starbucks and get primary complaint material
that would
in
be
some way every day.
Prime people watching location.
It's terrible.
By the way, did you go to a Connecticut Suns game while you were there?
I did not go to the Mohegan Sun, but one bartender did ask me, have you been to any of the casinos? So, no. Nice casinos up there, though.
Can I see a WNBA team get kicked out? Well,
no.
Because
can I get
the tribe's here to work out?
We could make a national story out of it if I had tried to get one through OutKick, and they said no. While I was up in Connecticut, I should have thought about that, Hutton. You're right.
Guys, to give you some context on my mindset for this primary complaint, being thankful for little things, I think, is a big factor in overall happiness. So I've been legitimately thankful to God that football is back, football weather is back. I'm wearing a flannel. Yes. It's almost time to snowboard and trout fish. If you're into that like I am, I'm fired up. And the weather really did it for me this week. Like, it put me over the edge. Like, I cannot wait to go to Atlanta this weekend to watch Tennessee play Syracuse. And yesterday, the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift news broke my immersion, and I'm pissed about it because it's nothing to do with them. I want to clarify. Like, I'm happy for them. You know, like Clay was saying yesterday, the best thing people can do is get married and have kids. That's great. Happy for them. Hope it lasts forever. But every single sports site on X reposting the same 3 photos ripped from her Instagram, like, I am more likely to stop and read a story on a profile of the 2 guys battling to be Tennessee's starting center on Saturday than I am to just randomly, like, oh, they also posted that picture of Taylor Swift. Like, do you really think you're going to get a like from me on that? Like, again, happy for them.
Spoken like a true man right there.
It is
wearing a flannel.
It is football time in Tennessee, not Taylor Swift time in Tennessee. Act accordingly, damn it. It is. I'm over it. I'm over it.
I just got a shot of testosterone right there from Adam with his flannel on, talking about trout fishing. Hell yeah.
I'm ready to go, man.
Let's go gut some fish.
I will say the one, I do appreciate the new meme format. I think that's a really great one. I saw yesterday somebody put a Texas A&M logo on Travis Kelce and then an 8-4 on Taylor Swift for all of our A&M fans out there. But the meme format is elite. But other than that, like, you just reposting her Instagram photo, like, just to try to get some likes. Like, let's focus on what matters here. Football season is Saturday.
It's not near as good as the Cracker Barrel meme format of the old logo and the new logo, which is now the old logo is the new logo again. Yeah. Since they went back to it, I've enjoyed those. Back. I've enjoyed those comparisons of the two.
Where's that old Cracker? Oh, he's back.
We worked an apology out of them, actually. They're bringing him back.
Yeah. Hey, they said I'm sorry. Sean?
My primary complaint, the shelf life of dry fit t-shirts. I'm not sure about you guys, but I think mine average between 6 months of usability and then the last 6 are just a terrible cycle of stench and, oh, this shirt's destroyed, but I still need to keep this shirt. They need to figure out the science of how to actually have a moisture wicking tee that can last you more than half a year. Because now I'm just walking around in cotton in the summer, sweating my ass off, opposed to what should be the proper technology in the year 2025. Can't stand the dry fit.
It's amazing the things we can do. We can send a group of like actresses and pop stars into space, but we can't get a moisture wicking fabric that's appropriate.
We can look into another galaxy, but we can't do that.
I sweat so much in the middle of summer when I'm doing yard work or mowing my yard that I have to just throw away T-shirts by the end of the summer because I'm not a smelly guy when I sweat, but if you sweat enough to where like you can't get your T-shirt off, it's so like you jumped in a pool.
You got to peel it off.
Yeah, you could wash it the next time. You're going to smell that when you put it back on. I'm like, yeah, just smelling the top of the shirt does not make me want to wear it again. It's bad.
I don't like I like the material of a dry fit, not whenever it's drenched.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. Is like it's not as comfortable whenever it's after you've been working out or
you can spend
mowing.
years trying to find like the right fabric and the right fit on a shirt or pants.
Then you lose
and
it
not
or you
find
rip
it. And then or you gain
well
weight
done,
and can't wear it anymore. You know?
McClain Way joins us.
What happens?
Or you gain weight. Not you,
So
Chad.
I can't fit in these pants anymore. I love so much.
You go to
made my ass look so good. Now it's
to
gone away.
Connecticut. You go to Mystic, Connecticut one time.
I got to go back to the big and tall shop.
So Dallas Cowboys, the new doc. Chad and I are huge fans. The director joins us next.
This fall, you're not just watching the biggest game in college football.
You're at the game.
Bama versus Georgia.
September 27, Athens.
OutKick's giving one lucky fan and a guest a VIP treatment.
This is your shot
To punch your ticket to the college football weekend of a lifetime.
Flights covered.
Hotel covered.
Game tickets, of course.
We're also hooking up 10 more fans with OutKick hats.
And everyone who enters gets a discount to the OutKick shop.
No purchase necessary.
Just hit outkick.com/sweepstakes.
College football weekend of a lifetime. Outkick.com/sweepstakes.
Somebody that we're not going to get a look at anymore the rest of the WNBA season is Sophie Cunningham. We talked about the injury that she suffered on Sunday, the knee injury, and we were awaiting word on the severity of the injury. There she is, writhing in pain after Bria Hartley of the Connecticut Sun rolled into her and kind of got her side of the knee. It is a MCL tear in that right knee that she is clutching there, and that is going to be the end of Sophie Cunningham in action in 2025. So the Indiana Fever have not had a lot of good fortune this year in terms of injury. And Sophie Cunningham's family taking to social media about this play and about this injury. You can see here, this is Lindsay Cunningham, who is Sophie Cunningham's sister, tweeting out, you can see here just 2 days ago, WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you. Sis, I paraphrase. I'm not sure. Look, let's just go here. Before I comment, let's see what Mama had to say. Mama Cunningham taking a break from pregame dildo conversations with her daughter to tweet out, Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's plain mean and plays out of control. Paula Cunningham there, her avatar, a smiling horse. I don't know. I'm going to address that, Ronnie, as I look at it. Look, Bria Hartley, I went back and I looked at the play like 5 times. And I didn't see anything about that play that was dirty. So to call her mean and whatever, I think that's out of line. David, how do you feel about the NCAA's position on this? What do you think they should have done? And what's the fallout going to be from this?
Well, I'm real shocked that the NCAA didn't do a great job. I know everybody is. Stop the presses because they're so good at what they do. Just think about how weird this is. Like, you want to get weird? Let's get weird. Hey, Sharon Moore, you're suspended for game 3, game 4 this year, and game 1 next year. What the freak is that crap? Like, okay, hey, you know what? Jim Harbaugh, you're suspended. You have a 14-year show cause where you can't coach in the college football. Congratulations. Like, what the heck does that matter? So I think a lot of people, we're not surprised. This is a normal issue with the NCAA. Listen, they could take up to $30 million. Now, that's a chunk out of your butt. Like, that could be a real punishment, but it's just not surprising. It's hard for the NCAA to do a ton. There's not a lot of power, but it was very clear. No bowl ban, no postseason ramifications. Obviously, they didn't want to go that far, and it was obviously a scandal that was real. We've seen documentaries on it now.
Top Mike Hutton and Withrow here at OutKick.com. Chad, you from the jump, you're like, Hutton, you were going to love America's team, the Gambler and his Cowboys, to the point where I forgot what we were doing, but you were like, just watch the opening.
I was like, you got to. It's one of those where annoyingly I sat you down and made you watch the first
2 minute or whatever it is.
It's like 8 to 10 minutes. The start of it.
It was fantastic. And McClain Way joins us. He's the director of America's team, the Gambler and his Cowboys. McClain, thank you for the time, man. Hope things are well.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Excited to chat Cowboys with you guys.
How much feedback have you been given over the opening scene there before you hit the credit?
Quite a bit, yeah. People have been very complimentary about it, which is nice. It's like in Netflix land, which makes sense, and we've made a lot of documentaries for Netflix. You really do kind of need to lead with a captivating, big first 5 minutes to hook the audience. It's not theatrical where you're kind of already sitting down and maybe you can like slow burn a little bit more. So cold opens are like a very important part of our industry. People are on their couch. They don't know what they're going to press play on. They give your documentary series a chance, and you got a couple minutes to hook them. So that first 5 minutes was important to us, and we did spend quite a bit of time on it.
No doubt.
Appreciate the kind words.
And I'm not just saying this because you're on here. I love sports documentaries. I love sports docuseries. I put yours right up there with The Last Dance, which is maybe my favorite of all time. I think about the Celtic City documentary with Bill Simmons that I loved also. But this was fantastic. And not just the start, but how you made the decisions to end each episode. And I'll give one example. The Ed Werder story about what he was told by Jerry Jones about, calling Jimmy Johnson a motherfucker and saying, I'm going to fire his arrogant ass. And he said, I'm giving you the scoop of the century. And then it just goes cold. And then it rolls with your name as the director. And I'm thinking, that is brilliant. And I immediately have to start watching the next episode when I see that. How much time do you spend when you're sifting through all this footage and everything that you have, deciding on how you're going to conclude each episode?
Yeah, that's another big part. Like the cold open to episode 1's important in when you're making Netflix documentaries, and how you end these things, because I've been shows before where I'm like, I'm only going to watch one more. And then if like something great happens at the end of the episode, I'll be like, all right, I got to see how the next one starts. And we try to play that game too and captivate audiences. That one that you mentioned at the end of 4, we are also particularly proud of. It was a story that we had heard about, and Ed is like an amazing wealth and source of knowledge on the Cowboys. And I don't say this to diminish his contributions to the documentary, but that cliffhanger was like half the reason we wanted to go interview him. And we don't use him in the beginning part of the documentary, but we kind of just introduce him to tell the story about being at the owners meeting and kind of getting the first heads up that Jerry is going to fire Jimmy Johnson. But we always knew that we were going to end the episode on that part, because that really is a cliffhanger in the sense of like, man, what's going to happen next? But yeah, we put a lot of effort into how each of these episodes are going to end. Sometimes they change. Jerry finding Dion, or saying Jerry has a story where he's like, I was on ESPN and I looked at at the camera and I said, I know you're watching. And he was talking to Deion Sanders. This was after they lost in the 1994 season NFC Championship game. That one was another one that I think we had that at the beginning of the following episode, but then we kind of just moved it to the end of the previous episode before Dion comes in. So you kind of like play with these things and where to start and stop each one.
I love it. I love process stuff like this. And Jerry Jones is a subject. We've had a chance to interview him. He's such a great storyteller. I remember being captivated by a story he was talking about making Steven work at one of the Wendy's that he owned when he was younger for screwing up. And it was a long story, but we're on the edge of our seat the entire time. How much easier does it make your job when you've got someone that's got such a great sense of narrative? When you sit down with them for the first time about how the story should be told, about how it should look and everything else, how was it working with Jerry Jones on all of those things?
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. Like, it really does. And our experience working with Jerry was like, yes, when we first sat down with him, we kind of had our prepared pitch of not just process, but, you know, what we're trying to make here, drama, conflict. And part of the reason you're pitching that to these subjects is because you want them to understand, hey, there's going to be times where you do take a lot of criticism in this documentary, or I am going to take a line of questioning that kind of holds your feet to the fire on why you fired Jimmy Johnson, or why it's been 30 years since you've been in an NFC championship game. And truthfully, we're not doing that to make Jerry feel bad. That's not really my intention, but it's part of the narrative drama. It's part of what makes a story like this so engaging. And we always try and say, listen, our loyalties to the audience here a bit. And you kind of maybe wince when you're doing that. And I winced, especially just because I didn't know Jerry, but I'm just, all right, this guy's worth 10 or 12 billion dollars. Like, I kind of have to go in there and talk to him about maybe some of the, you know, more, you know, difficult chapters of his Cowboys ownership. But we'll still live, the highs will still feel super high. But he was like, he understood that so well. And it mirrored a bit of his approach when he got into the NFL. He was pitching narrative and drama and conflict and calls it a soap opera 365 days a year. And so, like, we did kind of have a little bit of a kindred spirit in Jerry Jones, which is an appreciation for good stories that have good arcs, that have good drama, and really pull you in. And so for his commitment on that was probably one of the best I've ever had in any documentary subject I've worked with.
What was the biggest hurdle that you faced?
You know, I think that for us, what was a little bit hard was just figuring out how long of an era do we want to tell of the Dallas Cowboys, because it was a pretty wide open plate when we jumped on board it, right? Netflix called us. They were like, hey, we have access to Jerry and the Cowboys. We have NFL Films as a partner on it. It's being done with Skydance, you know, and we were looking for directors, and they called us. And, you know, at first I knew the headlines of, yes, I knew the Cowboys were successful in the early 90s. I knew they won Super Bowls, but I really didn't know too much deeper than that, just because this did happen a little bit before, just before my time. But when we jumped in, there was kind of an element of, I knew we could get audiences to buy into when Jerry comes in, takes over the team, fires Tom Landry, and ignites a massive public criticism. They go 1-15 in their first year, which I didn't know about. And I was like, that's an amazing way to start a story. It's like, not only do you fire the longtime coach, but your first season out there, you face plant and you lose 15 out of your, 16 games you play. And I didn't know that Jimmy and Jerry knew each other from the time they were 17 years old, went to the University of Arkansas, won a national championship. I knew that they won back-to-back Super Bowls, and then I didn't know why they broke up, so that was like a big part. And so in a way, I think one of the challenges was I knew I could get audiences to invest in the story of the early 1990s Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, there's this massive 30-year history that you could do a lot of time in. But there was a part of me that's like, there is something a little one note about that history, because they keep not making it back to an NFC championship game or a Super Bowl. And so figuring out, hey, what are the eras that we're focusing on, I think was an early challenge. We ultimately obviously leaned more into the early 90s and the mid 90s and the beginning of the downfall. And then we captured the downfall in episode 8. But figuring out that scope took a little bit of time to figure out.
Were there any difficulties with certain interview subjects that just would not go into certain areas or did not want to answer questions fully? I ask because, the Troy Aikman, like the racism rumor stuff that everyone else talked about and defended him on, I felt like he didn't really want to go there at all, other than to say it was a reporter trying to make a name for himself and didn't talk in depth about it. Did you run into instances like that?
Yeah, there were a few times. And with Troy, it was interesting because Troy was a great interview. To be honest, Troy's one of those examples where as an interviewee, I'm interviewing him, or I'm the interviewer, he's the interviewee. And can be quiet. He can be more reserved, but there's an intensity to his words that when you're in the room, maybe you don't pick up as much, but then you get in the edit bay and you put music under it. And then Troy's like quiet intensity kind of starts to fill the room in a very powerful way. So you're right. Like maybe that's not an area that he spoke really at length with, but then as a filmmaker, you kind of feel maybe his hesitation to dive into that. And that honestly makes maybe the story feel even more powerful because you can tell that this is a story that can bring up some emotions about how he feels about certain people or certain things are this happening. And so that was an interesting area to dive in. My recollection is he did talk about it quite a bit in our interview because it's how he remembers that third Super Bowl. I think he certainly remembers that third year as, we won in spite of ourselves to a degree, not because of how great we were as a team. So very interesting. The other things that players were like, and we kind of included in the documentary, but when we started this project and started talking to people, so many of the first questions that some guys would ask would be like, well, are you going to talk about the White House? And I knew what the White House was, but it kind of was this like early litmus test for some of these guys about like, well, what type of documentary are we making here? Like, are you going to include that type of thing? And for those that don't know, the White House is pretty much like a party house that some of the Cowboys players owned that was behind their practice facility at Valley Ranch. And so I was like, all right, we got to talk about the White House. It's an interesting story. But we interviewed quite a few people about it, and I could tell, and some of them just confirmed it. They're like, no, I have a pact that I've made with players. Like, we will not talk about the White House. It's not something we're going to discuss, not just for your documentary, but, in any project. And so we were kind of like hitting our heads up against the wall. Finally got to Michael Irvin's interview, and it was a little bit of like rubber's going to hit the road. We asked him about the White House, asked him to explain what it was. And Michael's answer was, dude, let me tell you, I was the president of the White House. And then he kind of goes on and dives into all that stuff. So you found those challenges, but you try and find the people that kind of own it. And Michael was one of those guys. And obviously we're thankful about that.
How did you get the voicemails from the women that were calling the White House phone or Michael's phone? That was, I'm listening to it, and it's just one after the other calling, trying to reach Michael Irvin. Was that from him or someone else?
That is from Dennis Padini, who is interviewed in the documentary. The Fixer, yes. Yep. And Dennis is a classic guy character that you run into these documentaries where I don't know if he's got the storage unit or if it's in his own garage, but he kept everything. like he had the all the kind of ephemera, like all the flyers and Michael Irvin's like players card that I think like we got all that from Dennis and he just sent it to us. And so we were kind of getting a kick out of all of it. But those voicemails are hilarious. The one that still stands out is it's the one guy that calls and he goes, Michael, I've heard you've been with my sister. I would like a word. And I could never figure out if he was angry about it or if he just kind of wanted to hang out with Michael Irvin. It was always I'm
sure you tried to find him.
Yeah, can I at least get an autographed helmet out of this or something?
Doesn't sound that pissed off.
Yeah, he was very calm about it. Yeah, it's like, I just want to hang out.
Let's make him a part of this.
Chill with Michael.
One last one for you is the needle drops throughout. It's good to have Netflix money, obviously, when you're paying for the rights to a song, but Arkansas Lovin' Man by Johnny Cash. Yep. The Sign from Ace of Base. Yep. Right Now by Van Halen. Just the perfect song from the era for some of those moments. How painstaking is that to find the right song for the right moment?
You know what? It's like, I will say that this era, early 90s, it gave me a new appreciation for what the top 40 was in the early 90s. I think I don't know. It was, I don't know if I quite, growing up through it a little bit, really appreciated it for what it was, but this documentary was a wonderful opportunity to kind of look back and see what these guys were listening to. But, you know, and it's more than that. I mean, Arkansas Lovin' Man was a deep cut. I mean, I don't know how deep of a cut it was, but it's not a super well-known Johnny Cash song. And my brother found that one, listened to the lyrics, played it for me, and I was like, man, this is feeling pretty good for a Jerry Jones introduction. You know, the lyrics kind of fit Jerry really well. Ace of Base was a great one. Van Halen crushed. That was an early select that we had. We had some Spin Doctors in there, which was a little controversial in the office. I don't think everyone was on board with Spin Doctors, but we thought it played good. And listen, those needle drops, they can really like add some energy. So we were really stoked to get them in.
Well, that's how, I mean, that's energy. That's how I would describe the whole thing. You got to be very pleased with how it's turned out, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's interesting. When we dove in, we understood that the Cowboys are like they have a massive fan base, but we also had an understanding of how despised they are as a team, and Jerry as an owner, you know, not just controversial but hated by some people. And you know, when you make a documentary, you're always a little worried about how much that's going to color the reception to the documentary that you make. And I get that. It's hard to watch documentaries on subjects that you just don't like, but looking back now, I mean, even like to get a compliment from like some Eagles fans, like kind of means the world, because they're like, God, like the Cowboys suck, but I like this documentary, you know. And you're like, all right, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Like, you can still hate the Cowboys. That's all fine with us, but
that's a huge win. Yeah, that's a huge win.
A huge win. It really is.
It would be a win for anybody that hasn't seen this to go and binge this.
Awesome.
It's very easy to watch. If you're a sports fan, get ready for football.
Are you working on anything else like this? Because the moment I see something like this, I just want more of it. Is there something else on the docket?
We're nothing right now. We're taking a little bit of time off. We've been running through some doc series, but no, I think we're gonna. But we're kind of. It's a good spot. We've been busy for like 8 years now, and finally gonna take a few months off and recalibrate. But it would be fun to find another big whale like this. You know, it's like, and a lot of them are getting. They've been told before, so I feel like they're getting a little bit more rare and rarer. But hopefully, you know. Hopefully new sports stories pop up and maybe they age well and you can tackle them down the road. But right now, pretty wide open.
McClain, when that does happen, you got to come on and preview it with us.
Oh, absolutely. We'd love to. Love to chat with you guys about it.
Yeah, man. Great stuff as always. And thank you for the chat today.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on, guys.
And tell Uncle Kurt we said hello. We're big fans of his
right.
also. Yes.
I'll let him know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you.
McClain Way. Dude, Chad was right. He was spot on when he said, hey, Hut, you got to watch this. And I would say that to anybody that hasn't seen it yet. If you've scrolled by it on Netflix, you're like, I'll wait. Don't wait. Watch it.
By the way, when you know that he's Kurt Russell's nephew, you can't unsee it because he looks a lot and talks a lot like Kurt Russell.
Yeah, he does.
I felt like I was talking to Kurt Russell at times with his reaction.
Back at it tomorrow. Hot Mic, Hutton and Withrow here at OutKick.com.